Welcome to the Daily Influence, where our mission is to deliver a daily dose of positive influence that can uplift you personally or be shared within your sphere of influence. While not every episode may directly apply to your unique circumstances, we strive to provide insights and inspiration relevant to most people's daily, weekly, and monthly lives. Whether you are tuning in during the morning, noon, or night, the Daily Influence is here for you. Listen, share, and embrace the power of influence in your life. Hey everybody, Brian Smith here with the I Am Team series and the Daily Influence, and we are going to be diving into pitfalls. Mahatma Gandhi said, "I must try to live in society and yet remain untouched by its pitfalls." Pitfalls are around us. We all have them. There is none of us who aren't influenced by pitfalls in our specific areas of influence, whatever situations we find ourselves. It's something that we don't think about, and it's something that contextually is different. It's subjective to all of us. One of the ways I like to point out pitfalls is, and get some context to it, is like when people are trying to lose weight and they reach plateaus in their weight loss. And when they reach these plateaus, they give up and then they pivot to a new weight loss system. They hit a plateau and a new weight loss system. And we see this yo-yo of people who go up and down with their as they try to adjust to the pitfalls of each particular weight loss program. Each program, our bodies react differently to each program. Some lose weight faster, some not at all. Some require different metrics. It's not just weight. Sometimes there's more to it about body fat percentages or our blood work. How is it affecting our overall health? How we feel, our energy. There's so many different variables, yet we get fixated on one particular measurement. And when we get fixated on one thing too much, that's the pitfall. As a leader, there's lots of pitfalls we have to deal with because pitfalls challenge us. They can ruin relationships. They can challenge our work culture. They can destroy companies. They can even destroy countries. Pitfalls in how we act as a group of people or individually can lead us to negatives. It can really damage a positive influence, influential probability or possibility for us in our lives. For example, an inability to grasp our emotional responses. If we don't understand in ourselves how things trigger us, that's a pitfall. It can lead to a lot of problems for us. If we don't understand that we react negatively and yet we allow ourselves to do that over and over and over again, we can push people away. We can create gaps between us. We can create problems in communication and in understanding. We can damage the cultures that we weave in and out of throughout our day in our areas of influence because we have different cultures and we react differently within those cultures. Many of us are different at home than we are at work. And that in itself can be a pitfall. It can challenge us. It can be stressful for us to have these two faces. So we're challenged all the time by the pitfalls that we create or that have been created for us in our lives. The communities that we live in, the rules that we live by, all of them can be pitfalls to us because maybe we can't adhere to them or we won't adhere to the rules or what is the norm of some area of influence or some place that we like to go. Most pitfalls were created to solve something, or we created them to make something easier. For example, an emotional outburst makes us feel better. It might help us diffuse the stress that we feel. And our way of diffusing it is to let it out. And that might make us feel better. It might help us deflate from a situation. But others, if we don't share it with them, don't understand that. Values can be a pitfall depending on the environment you're in. Within companies, being too rigid, being not rigid enough, having rules that affect only one set of people versus another set of people. These are all pitfalls that we have to watch out for in our areas of influence. One of the biggest ones we make is assumptions. And assumptions are something we all do, but when we assume, we've all heard the saying, never assume, make an ass out of you and me. When we do that, we leave things open. When we make assumptions, we're not in full context. Assumptions mean that we haven't listened to all of the information and we are coming to a conclusion in our mind and maybe even forcing that conclusion on others, not based on all of the facts. We are assuming what may or may not be. It's one of the most prolific pitfalls that we have to deal with. They're always a guess. If it wasn't a guess, it wouldn't be an assumption. If we knew it to be a fact, whatever it is, it wouldn't be an assumption. Most of our personal assumptions they're not out of a formula. They are just happy going along. Life just throws stuff at us. And oftentimes in the heat of the moment, in the spirit of the moment, just to get past a moment, we make an assumption of what may or may not be. A lot of times we end up being wrong. If it really affects us negatively or positively, depends on what it is we're assuming. But sometimes it can come up and bite us. Maybe you envy somebody in your industry for having something. Maybe it looks like they're better than you at doing something. Maybe it's selling something. Maybe it's because of the car they drive or the clothes they wear or the friends they have around them. What you may not know is what it takes for them to get to that. You assume they're doing better. Maybe they're in debt. Maybe they're not honest. Maybe they have wrapped around them people who are more superficial than what is reality. I see this a lot in some technologies where technology looks like it's way better than really what it is, and you have people that can show you that technology in an amazing way through video and enthusiasm. Yet when you get down to the basic of it, that technology doesn't perform as good as maybe another technology might. Or a solution to a problem, somebody's approach to a problem may not be as good as somebody else's, but because they've been elevated by emotion, or maybe it's a past history they've had with something that was good, but they've made assumptions in what they're doing. Through those assumptions, they're supporting it, but they're wrong. These types of things happen all the time. Assumptions are very dangerous for us. So be careful, be honest about when you're making assumptions and when you have fact. Learn to understand the emotions that get attached to making assumptions and understanding facts. Oftentimes, assumptions make us feel way better than what the facts are. And we try to create and mold a situation through assumption to move us in a direction that we wish we could go, but that we shouldn't go. So be very careful when we do this to ourselves. Be careful that we don't create assumptions as a way to influence ourselves to do things that make us feel better. Those are the things that get us into trouble. And when we are leading people, it gets other people into trouble and it creates massive risk. Tomorrow, we're going to get into delegation and how delegation can be a pitfall as a leader and how it can challenge our positive influence and our responsible influence and what that means. Hope you have a great afternoon.